Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ask Ken show. It's so great to have you here. If you're watching, welcome to the Ask Ken show. And we're going to have lots of fun today and do lots of channeling and ask your spiritual questions. So, the way that the Ask Ken show works is really simple. What you do is if you're seeing this broadcast live, or even if you're watching the recording, you can ask a question, anything about spirituality or anything about me or whatever, just anything that not necessarily about doing a reading. That's a different kind of platform that I do once in a while, where I have my students come in and we do readings with clients and that. But this is more like anything about spirituality. What do you want to know? So, for example, I have a first question coming in. By the way, if you're watching this, just give me a shout out. Type in your name and where you're from. I'll give you a shout out and say hello. So, the first question that we have coming in today is, what is the difference between your higher self and your soul? And what is the function of them? Okay, so in my channeling workshops, you can find them on channelinginc.com. You can go ahead and watch them. We go into lots of depth, but I'll give you some rundown of what they are. Your soul resides in your sternum region. So, like right here, if you have your heart chakra here, and then your solar plexus chakra, and then right in between is right where your sternum is right where your soul resides. And your soul is the aspect of you. It's the part of you that makes you up as a human. It's that part of you that um, it goes from lifetime to lifetime with you. It stores all the events, all the emotions, all the experiences that you have from lifetime to lifetime, including this one. And then that will be carried into the next one, and so on and so on. And then you have your higher self, which is 1 foot above your head. And um, your higher self is also in the astral realm, which is where your where your soul goes when you die and you cross over, and it's also where your spirit guides reside and your soul family resides. So where how it's able to get that higher perspective is because it operates from that fourth dimension, like we're 3D, right? And your soul is 4D, and it's able, or your higher self is 4D, and so your higher self is kind of like a spirit guide. So it's not a spirit guide, but it's like a spirit guide. It acts as a spirit guide, and it's able to give you this higher perspective as you're navigating through life and all that. So the real important thing, like I get a lot of my students as they're going through my workshops, and then I take them through their soul, and then they're like, oh, cool, okay, that's where my soul resides. Yeah, that feels right. And they connect with it. They get to know their soul. And your soul is one of those aspects of you. It's not like super loud, it's not in your face. It's what they call like the quiet whisper of your soul. And right here, it's like the seat of your soul is like right here. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps everywhere. Whew, so exciting. So we want to try to connect with our soul on a regular basis and find out, what's going on with it, how it's feeling, what's happening, why it's here, why it chose to incarnate, if we're on the right path, and then how we can get on path, how we can do our soul's purpose. And it's not just purpose, it's purposes. There's many reasons why we chose to incarnate. So what might some of these reasons be? And then go ahead and um, connect with our soul to try to hear that quiet whisper of our soul. So I usually recommend, going into like a meditative state in a quiet place and try to really like focus your attention down here in your sternum area and just really connect with your soul. And then what you can do also is connect with your higher self, to have your higher self give you that guidance and give you that perspective that may be from a different perspective that you may not be taking into account. Maybe there's a situation going on in your life. Maybe there's a circumstance happening that you're struggling with, and your higher self can give you this different vantage point, or maybe help you come up with solutions to help you resolve this situation or circumstance that's going on. Or maybe something has happened and you're fretting about it, you're upset about it, and you can ask, your higher self for, you know, what am I not seeing? Maybe there's a different perspective here of what's really going on. And, it might be about you, it might not be about you. So find out. So if I do recommend, like all my teaching, anyone who's taken my teaching, by the way, if you're watching this, write down your name and where you're from, and I'll give you a shout out. Plus, if you have any spiritual questions, just feel free to ask that in in the chat box, and I will check to see if we should ask that or not. And that's called the Ask Ken Show. So instead of just watching this recording or watching this video, try to actually after maybe take 5 minutes afterward, and maybe write down your question, and then you can, or what you want to check in with your soul about, and then just do that. Like, instead of just talking about it, listening to it, actually try to spend 5-10 minutes, connect with your soul, figure out like what's going on with it, how it's feeling, what the quiet whisper of the soul is trying to tell you, any messages it has for you, maybe your soul's purpose, things like that. And then you can also, with your higher self, see what perspective it has on your higher self. So another really cool thing too is that what you can do is, this is a technique I call conversations with soul. So what you do is you have your soul tell your higher self all the things that are going on with it, everything you're struggling with, what's the woes, the struggles, to your higher self. Then have your higher self answer from this higher perspective to your soul. And then have your soul tell anything else that's going on with it, any struggles, any woes, any things like that. And then have your higher self answer from this higher perspective. And it's called Conversations with Soul. I know, like, when I first got this message, like in 2014, I'm like, no, there's like, Conversations with God and all that. And Neil Donald Walsh, and I've read all his books, great books. But they're like, nope, has to be the name of it. I'm like, okay, that's the name of it. I'm not trying to, take any people's other names or concepts. It's called Conversations with Soul. So if you want to call it something different, but it's basically going back and forth between your soul and your higher self, your soul and your higher self. So there's 3 ways that I suggest you connect. One is with your soul directly and just your soul. Another is with your higher self directly and just your higher self. And then the third way is try having a conversation between the two. It's really cool. So I could go into way more depth, way more detail. That just kind of gets you the gist of it. They do play different roles, so try to work with your soul and higher self on a regular basis. We have some people that are in attendance. I want to say hi to Lisa from Winnipeg. Hi, Lisa. Thank you for tuning in. We also have Carrie from Newbrook, Alberta. Hi, Carrie. Great to see us. That's north, I think, of Edmonton region. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And then Shelley from Lethbridge, which is just south of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And then we have a few people from Twitch that are logging in, and one from Kick. So thank you so much. Oh, and Tamara, sorry, from Strathmore. And then Anita, thank you, Anita, for tuning in. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you're watching, please just write your name, where you're from, and ask any questions about spirituality. So I'm not necessarily doing like readings, for example, like, loved one readings or reading about you. That's a different platform. I do that. That's the Ask Ken Show is more about any topics about spirituality. So what do you want to know about spirituality? Anything's fair game when it comes to spirituality. And I will live channel the answers here live. And there's 2 main reasons why I do this. One is because where else do you go to get these kind of questions answered? Like, where you're actually getting real accurate information and accurate answers about different spiritual topics. So I provide a platform for this. And then the other reason I do this is to show and emulate for my students that, hey, you can live channel. You can channel anywhere, anytime, on the spot, in the moment, and make it a normal, regular part of your day, and do it at very advanced levels, not just, random chance. I know who I'm channeling right now. I know which spirit guide is coming, like, I'm communicating with. Right now, it's mostly a female. One of my female guides that's very active right now. She's helps me with the Ask Ken show, for example, and spirituality and other topics like that. We also have Donna from Virginia. Thank you, Donna, for tuning in. She was been attending my Ascension group healings regularly, which is so great. Love having you there. And I do those monthly, where I do mass healings. I have over 100 different healing modalities. So I include that as part of my channeling training, because I realize how important it is to get the healing and clearing along the way, so that we're healthier and we're clear channels. That's really important. Okay, so we have our next question, which is, and we also have Amelia tuning in. Thank you, Amelia, for being here. Do your spirit guides prefer to communicate? with you through one Claire or another Claire or another. So one or another. Oh, hi Danielle from Onaway. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for saying hi. So good to have you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the clairs. So I know some of you know about the clairs, but just hang in there. I'm going to teach you a bit more advanced stuff on clairs, okay? This is actually really cool. So there's going to be some pro tips at the end of this little discussion. Um, we have five major different kinds of clairs, actually six. Um, if you go on the internet and search, back in my day, 20 years ago when I started doing this, there was six, and then then now there's 15, and then 20, and then who knows, probably 200 now. So I just find that in general, sometimes too much is not better. Sometimes just the basics. So I just teach the basics. I found that all these other clairs that people come up with, they can be put into one of these six. So just real quick, the clairs. So there's clairvoyant, which is like clear seeing, like in your mind's eye, where you might, um, with your spirit guides, for example, you might see your spirit guides with your physical eyes, maybe like an orb or an apparition or something like that. Most likely, though, you're going to see your spirit guides in your mind's eye. So if you imagine like yourself, you're driving down a road and maybe like a highway, and then you're driving there. So everyone, just imagine this right now. You're driving down a highway, you're minding your own business, and all of a sudden you hear something in the glove compartment. So you pull over on the side of the road, you open the glove compartment, and out comes a rat scurrying around. And you're like, ah! So you open up the door, let the rat run out, and it goes into the farmer's field and disappears. And so if you can see that in your mind's eye, that's a similar concept to clairvoyance. Okay, so we all have it. We can do this. We can see in our mind's eye, this image or this short little video clip playing in our mind's eye. So same thing with our spirit guides. When our spirit guides give us messages, they will give us a message usually in clairvoyance, and or like they will show us images or like a short video clip. Okay, so then what you do is you take that image or the video clip and you interpret it into a message. What's the message? Why is my spirit guide giving me this video? What's the meaning behind this video or this image? And then into that, and then receive that message. Okay, so that's called clairvoyant. The next one is clairaudient. So think of like a song, a popular song that you know, like something really popular. I don't know, maybe like a Taylor Swift song or something like that. Maybe a new Taylor Swift song or an old one. And so if you hear that right now, hear that Taylor Swift song in your mind. So that's clairaudient. We all have that. If you have a song playing over and over in your head, what's that called again? It's called an earworm. I think it's called like something like that, right? So an earworm where that song just won't go out of your head. It just keeps playing over and over. So that's clairaudient. So your spirit guides, when you get good at practicing channeling your spirit guides, you listen to their voice, and you're going to find that one spirit guide that comes in might have a very deep voice, might speak a bit more methodical, a bit more monotone, a bit more direct, whereas another spirit guide might have more of a high-pitched voice, and it might be more like inflection in the voice instead of monotone, a bit more like softer and a bit more like playful and fun. And they're totally different voices in your mind. And so you're not making this stuff up. They are real. Your spirit guides are real, but their voices can sound totally different in your mind, which sounds totally different than your own thoughts, your own mind. Okay, so as you practice, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Whew. As you practice, you'll be able to discern the difference between what's your own stuff and what's coming from this spirit guide, and what's your own stuff and what's coming from this other spirit guide, and the difference between the two spirit guides. And just goosebumps everywhere. It's just so fun. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're tuning in, just say hi and write your name, and I'll give you a shout out where you're from. So we have Danielle from Onaway, Alberta, who just joined us. Thank you, Danielle. So then let's go to the next Claire. So the next Claire would be clairsentient, which is what I'm getting right now, these goosebumps. But it could be more than goosebumps. It could be heat or cold. It could be temperature change. It could be pressure, like they're pushing on you. It could be like zinging kind of feelings, or zapping, or anything like that, electrical. Anything like that is called clairsentient. But there's another component to clairsentient as well, which is you're receiving the emotions from your spirit guide. So there's two parts of it. One is tactile sensations, and then the other is receiving the emotions from your spirit guide, and they're exuding these emotions to give you a message. So what might this message be? What are they trying to tell you? through their emotions, and then you interpret those emotions into a message. So this is a very powerful way of receiving messages, to interpret the emotions. Now, another clair is clairalience. That's clear smelling. If you can smell like a rose, for example, even though there's not a rose, so try to do this right now if you're watching. Smell a rose, a flower. And what does that smell like? So even though you don't have a rose physically around you right now, you can still smell a rose in your mind. Okay, so similar thing. Your spirit guide might give you a rose, a smell of a rose, and then you take that, and what is that interpretation? Why are they giving you the smell? What's the meaning behind it? Why is it like, there's a message behind it. It's not just random chance. And same thing with clairgustance, clear tasting. Okay, they might give you a taste in your physical tongue, but most likely they'll give you a taste in your mind. So, for example, if I say taste like watermelon, what does watermelon taste like? And you taste that, and then you're like, oh, okay, so they're giving you this taste of watermelon, but what's the meaning or message behind this taste? Like they're not giving it to you by accident. There's a reason. What does it mean? What's the message behind it? Okay, and then the other one, the sixth one, is called claircognizant. It comes quick, it comes fast. Even though it has the word cognizant, like, you think it's in your head, it actually doesn't come from your head. It comes from your gut. It's a very quick, very fast. And a lot of people, my students, when I'm working with them one-on-one, I check. A lot of times they either they don't realize it's coming from a different clair, or they just automatically, I don't know, maybe they get lazy or something like that, and they just think if an answer comes to them, they're like, oh, I don't know, it must be claircognizant. Oh, it must be claircognizant. Must be claircognizant. And then they put every message that they receive from their spirit guides into this claircognizant box. And sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it comes from different clairs. But you have to really okay, if it's not claircognizant, which other one could it be? And you'll find that oftentimes it is a different clair, not claircognizant, but it could be claircognizant. Okay, so be open to that. Just don't get in the habit of putting every single message you receive into oh, how do you know? Oh, I just know it must be claircognizant. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Okay, so now that I've gone through the different clairs, what I want my students to do is memorize them. So a really simple tip, if you're watching this and you want to write this down or just make a note of it, what are the 5 different senses that humans have? What are they? Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Okay, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. Clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairalience, clairgustance, clairsentience. Okay, so these are the different clairs that a human has. And if you can remember those, then the 5 senses, it makes it really easy to memorize the clairs. And then you just add the 6th one, which is cognizant. That's the 6th one. And have you ever noticed that all those clairs, all the senses, like they're all on our head, right? Pretty neat. If you ever thought of that. So you have your sight, your sound, your smell, your taste, your all that stuff is on your head. And then clairsentient, of course, is your whole body. So just interesting concept. We also have Amelia joining us, Morgan joining us, LP Jack, who just joined, Shuba as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. If you're watching this, just ask your questions in the Ask Ken show, and and also put your name, and I'll give you a shout out. So here's the pro tip. When you're channeling your spirit guides, most people, I've found that people have somewhere between 3 to 5 spirit guides, and each one helps you a different way, different capacity, different areas of your life. They're people like you and I. They reside in the astral realm. So when you die and you cross over, you go to the astral realm. While you're incarnated, certain members of your soul family will help and assist you, and these are your spirit guides. Each spirit guide has their own different energy signature components about them, and each one helps you in a different way, different capacity, different areas of your life. But also when you try, this is what I want you to practice. This is the pro tip. So go to a quiet room, sit in quiet and stillness, and then ask all your spirit guides to temporarily step far back, and then that gives you like a clean slate. And then sit in what's called the spiritual silence for a moment where there's no one around. And then after you've done this for a little bit, then go ahead and invite one spirit guide to come in. And then what you do is you figure out where the spirit guide is around you. So where are they? Oh, they're over here. Okay. So what do? You lock in on them. This is where the information is coming from. This this place around you physically. So there is highly sensitive camera systems that's been developed now that can capture spirit guides on camera, which excites me as an IT nerd. I love this stuff. So I have an IT background, and you can, when you figure out where they are physically around you, let's say they're right here, then what you do is you try to receive information from them. But this is the pro tip. Try to take it a step further rather than just like, okay, what's the message they're trying to give me, and receive that message. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the way I started out. I just like, if I just got anything, I'd be happy with that. But what you do is you try to feel into the spirit guide and ask, okay, which clair or clairs the one or two clairs does this spirit guide communicate with me? And this is really important because when you can figure out which clair it is, so let's say, for example, this one likes to give me images and also sensations. So that would be um, clairsentient and also clairvoyant, those two clairs. So then what you can do is, as you're receiving messages from this guide, you can tunnel or go deeper with that specific clair for that specific guide. Okay, so now you know that, like, sometimes what um, beginner or amateur channelers do, and it's not their fault, no one, or even people I've known that have been doing this for 10, 15 years, they just have their one or two strongest clairs, and they try to force every single spirit guide that they communicate with to communicate with them through that clair. But that might not be the clair that this spirit guide wants to communicate to you. They might want to communicate to you through other clairs because they're trying to get a message to you in a way that will benefit you the most. So they might want to show you, like if this one's your career guide, this one might want to show you images of what to do at your work and how you can resolve a certain situation. Maybe you have a problem at work, and they want to show you, so that'd be clairvoyant, clairseeing, how to resolve this situation or come up with a solution for a problem that you have at work. And that's but if you try to force them into another clair, you might not be receiving the message to its fullest because you're trying to manipulate or put them into a box that they're trying not to do. So just be open to all the different clairs, the ones I just went through, and let your guides decide how they want to communicate with you. Okay. And then when you figure out those one or two clairs, go deeper with it. Okay, so you're showing me this image. Good. Anything else you want to show me? Good. Show me more. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Show me more. Show me more. Okay. So that's what the spirit guide's doing. And then another time, another spirit guide comes in, and this one, let's say, helps you with relationships. And this one wants to communicate with you through clairsentient. So instead of trying to force it to be a certain clair, like maybe you're trying to force it to be clairaudient, it's like, no, I want to communicate this message to you through clairsentient, through sensations, through feelings and emotions. Why that clair? Because it's helping you with relationships. So this particular spirit guide might want to help you where you become more softer and more compassionate with this relationship that you're having a struggle with, and maybe more empathy or understanding of what they're going through. So they're not trying to communicate with you through, let's say you're trying to force them to audience, they want to communicate with you through clairsentient, the emotions, rather than clairaudient. So you don't dictate which clair that they're going to choose. You just be like, hey, whatever clairs you want to communicate with me, I'm open to any and all of them. And then this is the pro tip: when you figure out which clair it is, then what you do is you go deeper with that specific clair. Okay, I know it's clairsentient because I'm getting the emotion, the feelings, the emotions, the sensations. So then I go deeper with that specific clair, trying to extract as much information and detail as I can with that specific spirit guide and with that specific clair. So I call this the tunneling technique. It's one of the most advanced techniques that I developed, where a lot of times what people do is um, when they first start channeling, there's two extremes that they do, and it's not their fault. They don't know any different. I didn't know any different until I developed this technique. So the two extremes that will happen is they will connect with the spirit guide. The spirit guide will start giving them some information, and then they'll go, oh, okay, thank you. And then they'll just be like, okay, and then they'll get up and continue on with their day. And the spirit guide's like, whoa, whoa, where are you going? Where are you going? Like, I'm just getting started. I have lots more I want to share with you. But the person's oblivious, the human. They just like get up and start their day. So they don't go far enough. They don't extract as much information as they could. The other extreme could be where the person is channeling their spirit guide. The spirit guide's giving them information, but then they just keep going on and on and on and on. And then 20 minutes later, the spirit guide's like, why are you still going on? I've been done like 10 minutes ago. like what do you do? So what we want to watch for is when we're channeling our spirit guide. Let's say it's this one. Okay, so this one's giving us images, right? So it's giving us images, clairvoyance, and then we receive those images, and then we say, okay, is there anything more? What else would you like to tell me? Can you tell me more? And then they give you more. Okay, good. What else would you like to tell me? Can you give me more? And then they give you more. And you keep doing this, and you keep doing this, and you keep doing this until you kind of feel where they're done. And then once they're done, then what you do is you stop. You don't keep going. You thank them. Okay, that's good. But you'll feel there'll be a distinct difference when they want to give you more information and then what you do is when they're done, you go, thank you very much. You appreciate them and see if there's another spirit guide that wants to come in. And then you do the same thing with this other spirit guide. This other spirit guide comes in and you can tell their energy signature is totally different. They might use a different clair. And then you figure out which clair this one wants to use. And then you tunnel using that specific clair and you extract as much information as you can from the spirit guide, trying to get as much out as you can to and then you feel, okay, is there more? Yes. Okay, can you give me more? Yes. Can you give me more? Yes. Okay, are we done? Yeah, now we're done. And then you stop. Okay, and you thank them, and that's it. So you don't want to go too little. You don't want to go way over when they're done. They've been done a long time ago. So just be aware of that. So that's some pretty big pro tips for you channelers out there. If you want to practice that, feel free to do so. By the way, the slogan for my company is spirituality is meant to be fun. So if you're watching this, what is it? Spirituality is meant to be what? Fun. So what do? We have fun with it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because just be gentle with yourself, be easy with yourself. When I first started doing this 20 years ago, I had no one to help me. I was trying to fumble my way through it on my own. And so if you can just try to keep it light, try to keep it like you're experimenting, you're playing, you're getting curious. Like, oh, what if I try this with my spirit guides? What if I try that with my spirit guides? And try to practice and play with this, and it'll help you be a lot. It'll help your journey be a lot more graceful, a lot better. Than you're not so hard on yourself, beating yourself up, and just stay persistent and consistent. Sometimes what happens is people, they struggle, they get themselves into a tizzy, and then they just want to give up. And then no, just keep doing it. Try to be consistent. And what I do, if you're watching this, there's three things that I do every morning. And what I do is I put as soon as I wake up, before I go to the washroom, before I look at my phone, is I put my hand on my soul. I tell myself I love me, and I tell myself I love me over and over again. And I really just feel that self-love. And then the second thing that I do is I feel all the things that I'm grateful for. What am I grateful for? Such a beautiful way to start the day is in gratitude. And then the third thing that I do is I connect with my spirit guides. I see who's around me. Some days it's one, some days it's more than one. And then if there is a spirit guide around me, which is always at least one around you, there will always be at least one or two. They never all leave you. Like most people have 3 to 5 spirit guides, so there'll always be at least one or two around you. And then what you do is you figure out who's around you, connect with them, see if they have any messages for you, and then receive the messages. And then that's when I start my day. After that, I get up, use the washroom, start my day. Okay, look at my phone, things like that. So I try to do that every single day. Why do I do that first thing in the morning? Because it gets me in the habit of connecting with them first thing, and then I'm more likely to connect with them throughout the day than rather than what some of my students, they've done as I'm working with them, like mentoring them. I'm like, okay, it's like 8 o'clock your time. When did you connect with your spirit guides? Oh, like an hour ago. I'm like, an hour ago? Well, what'd you do for the last like 14 hours of the day? And they're like, yeah, good point. So if you can try to connect with them first thing in the morning, and then you're more likely to connect with them throughout the rest of the day. It only takes a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes max, to connect with them, see who's around you, get some messages, and continue on. This is the Ask Ken Show. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching, please just write down your name and where you're from, and I'll give you a shout out. So we have Morgan here. We have Shuba. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go on to our next question. So if you have any questions, just type in your question, and I will answer the question live by channeling it live here on the Ask Ken Show. So exciting. Okay, so our next question is, what do you do when you get too many ideas? Is it from your spirit guides or me? And do they overwhelm us with too much information at once? Okay, so the answer is no, they won't overwhelm you. They won't TMI you too much information. They won't. They really won't. They'll oftentimes your spirit guides will give you bite-sized information throughout an extended period. Let's say over a few weeks, for example. They're not going to like dump a ton of information on you. So that's goes back to the last topic that I was talking about. Because if you're using the tunneling technique, you'll realize that they will give you the just exact precise amount of information that's perfect for you in that moment. And do they have more to talk about at a later time? Possibly, most likely they do. Okay, so let's say, for example, there's a relationship situation going on. They might give you, okay, Ken, just work with them in this way, this person, this relationship thing, this situation that's going on. Work with them this way, and then do that. And then after I do that, then I check in the next day, and they're like, no, no more information yet. And then the next day, no, no more information. And then 3 days later, they're like, okay, now here, work with them in this way, talk with them in this, communicate with this way, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can actually communicate with your um, work with your spirit guides, where they will give you information over bite-sized pieces over time. Same thing, like let's say you have a spirit guide that helps you with work and career. That spirit guide might help you to give you information that'll help you resolve. Let's say you have a project that you're working on at work. They might help you over time, and that project might go on for 3 months or 3 years. But over time, they help you with that. So they're not going to give you all the stuff in one sitting for that 3-year project. And when you sit down and say, okay, tell me everything, and they'd be like, whoa, too much information. So they regulate that for you. They know, they have this higher perspective. They can see what's manageable for you and what's appropriate for you. And it takes some humility also to know this, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go like where you're constantly trying to get more, like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? We get like, stuff like that. They're like, whoa, just let me give you this, sit on this for a while, digest this, or do this. Like they might give you, let's say you're trying to start up your own business. They might be like, well, start up a Facebook business page, which is free. There's no cost at it. They're like, okay, but I want to know about this, 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 and this. And they're like steps 8, 9, and 10. And they're like, whoa, just do steps 1 and 2. And then I'll give you the other steps later. So it takes some humility, it takes some like patience and then it takes like action. So one of the really important things that I've learned and that I've tried to emphasize to my students is, rather than with spirituality, rather than just sitting there and meditating and getting all this information, which is important, of course, and do that, please do, but also try to apply the guidance that you're getting into your life right away, not waiting. Okay, because what is it? Faith without works is dead. Like basically, do the works, do the action steps, and then they will oftentimes reveal more information. So, for example, they might say, okay, they want to give you information about your business that you want to open, and you're like, okay, well, I want to know about steps 4, 5, and 6. And they're like, no, 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 do steps 1 and 2, and then we'll give you that. And they're like, you're like, a week later, you're like, okay, but I want to know about steps 4, 5, and 6. And you're like, no, 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 do 1 and 2. And then 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, a month goes by, and you're still like, well, why won't you tell me about these other steps? What's going on? Like, and they're like, just do steps 1 and 2 first, then we'll give you more information later. Like, do those first steps, and more will be revealed. But it's kind of like, there's this really great saying that says, God can only steer a ship that's moving. So it's similar concept. If you have a ship that's in a port and you turn the rudder, it's just going to go like this, but it's not going to steer the ship because it's not moving. It's just sitting there at the port. But when the ship is moving, then they can change that rudder and they could go, okay, now go a bit more this way. Okay, now go a bit more that way. Okay, now go this way and that way. And they're guiding you. Your spirit guides are able to guide you as you're going along this path, but they can't do that if you're not moving. So the moving part is you're taking the guidance that you're getting and putting it into physical reality, physical action, and that makes a difference in this physical world. Whether it's physical actions, software, might be something on your electronics or your devices, or software, it could be any of that, but it's still taking tangible action where you get tangible results, and then they'll give you more guidance later as you continue along this journey. Um, so if you get too many ideas, this is what I suggest. Oftentimes it is coming from you, not your spirit guides, and that's okay. So we're a soul as well, and we can come up with lots of ideas. There's also the saying out there that says that um, a fox that chases a fox that chases two rabbits catches neither. So if you have a lot of ideas, what I suggest, like later on, you can go for different, but let's just do one thing. Okay. So figure out like one goal, one aspiration that you have, and go all out in that one goal, that one aspiration. So for me, it was teaching people how to channel. That's all I want to do. Teach people how to channel, figure that out, go really hard in that, and get that base really foundation set. And then and get some clients, build some business, and then some curriculum, some courses, whatever your business idea might be. But just pick one idea for now and just go with it. And then many, many, many years later, I started doing the healing and clearing, realizing that my students needed that. So now I teach healing. I also do healing and clearing with the Ascension group healing once a month, and then also in my one-on-ones and things like that. And then I also later on I started adding like animal communication. So that's still channeling, but it's a just slightly different variants, but still related to the channeling. Because what are we doing? We're channeling animals. So I also teach that as well. But I started out with just channeling training, and that's it. So if you have an idea, pick one rabbit, go after that one rabbit, not two, not three, not five, and go for that. But it might mean that might need to keep your day job while you're doing that. And that's what I had to do. I did that for many, many years. So make sure you pay your bills, keep food on your table, roof over your head, internet plugged in so you can, still access the internet and do your business and stuff like that. And then while you're working your day job, then you work on your side business and eventually get to a point where you can quit your day job and do this full time. That's your exit strategy if that's what you want to do. Or it might just be like a hobby and that works too, and that's fun and you want to play with this. But try to pick one thing and just go with it until you start getting some traction. And the biggest thing about that is keep going. And too many times people quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. So the miracle is just about to happen. You're just about to have a big breakthrough, and then you quit. So sometimes people don't do things long enough and consistent enough to gain traction. They're just spinning their wheels and they're not actually going anywhere significant. But if you just actually persist and persist and persist and do a little bit every day to try to move your business forward, move your ideas forward, you will get results. Okay. And that doesn't have to necessarily mean business wise. It could also be work wise. It could be relationship wise. It could be maybe you're thinking about moving. It could be a lot of different things. It doesn't always have to be work related, but it can be, and it could be other topics as well. Okay. So we have some other. I am Carla is tuning in. Thank you so much. And Twilight Music also joined us. Thank you so much from Instagram. We have a bunch of people from Twitch and Facebook. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Ask Ken show. If you're watching this, feel free to type in a message. You can say your name, where you're from. I'll give you a shout out. And also, if you have any questions about spirituality. All right, let's go to our next question is instinct. Where does it come from? And is it in your brain or somewhere else? Okay. So instinct and intuition are very different. Your instinct or your instinct is this primal part of you that keeps you alive. It's survival. So if you want to know about instinct, intuition, tune in, listen in. This is cool. And they're totally different things. So your instinct, your intuition comes either from your soul, your higher self, or one of your spirit guides, or a combination thereof. And as you learn to practice these individually, then you can really start to hone your intuition. Okay, so intuition. We're not talking about instinct. We'll get to that in a moment. And that's why that talk I had earlier about practicing connecting with your soul, connecting with your higher self, what the difference is between them, what the different roles are, and then also getting really good at connecting with your spirit guides, getting to know the difference between each spirit guide and what their role is, how they communicate with you, how to receive and retrieve information. And then as you practice on this journey of doing this, you'll get really good at honing your intuition. Okay, so whenever you get like this intuitive hit or this intuitive guidance, you're like, oh, I should do this. Don't just ignore it anymore. Don't just brush it off. Ask yourself, where is this coming from? Which aspect, or where is it coming from? Is it coming from my soul? Is it coming from my higher self, or is it coming from my spirit guides, or a combination thereof? Because oftentimes you'll get these intuitive hits or these intuitive like guidance, but now you have the ability, you can challenge yourself, get curious, and try to figure out, where is this intuition coming from? It's not just any random place. Okay, and yes, it could be your own mind making stuff up, and that's different. That's it. So um, but when it comes to instincts are different. Instincts, what they are they're the primal part of you that keeps you alive. They keep you, like, it's a survival thing. So um, it's that part of you that way back, like in caveman days, you're maybe in the bushes in a forest or something like that, but you want to go out into like a valley where it's open and there's nothing around because you have to maybe travel or traverse through that. But your intuition as a caveman might be like, no, don't go out there, don't go out there, don't go out there. And the reason why is because there's a saber-toothed tiger waiting to pounce on you and wants to like eat you. And literally back then they would. Um, so that's that part of you that keeps you alive. That's that primal part of you that comes from the caveman days, survival part, keeps you from getting eaten alive by the saber-toothed tigers. We have that same part of us as humans in this modern day. So, for example, let's say you're in a massive big city downtown, it's late at night, and you're like, oh, if I just, converse or traverse through this back alley. I go through this back alley to get to my destination. I could get there quicker and faster. And something in you is telling you, no, don't go down that back alley. Don't go down that back alley. Don't go down that back alley. Something bad's going to happen if you do. That's your instinct kicking in, telling you, okay, something bad might happen if you go down that back alley. So we all had this where we just get this like, all of a sudden we're like, don't do it. And sometimes we ignore that and we go ahead and do it anyways. And of course, then that bad thing happens. So we want to try to hone our instinct without it being fear-based. We don't want to, we're empowered. So there's a difference, because what we can do is like, oh, anytime it's a dark back alley, we don't go down it. But is that true? Sometimes it's fine to go down it, and other times it's not. But that instinct is very prominent. It's like that primal part in us. I almost feel it like, for me, I almost feel it like on a cellular level, where all my cells just like they cringe, they go. And it could happen also with, let's say you meet somebody and they put on a facade, like they look all pretty and all that on the outside, and they say all the right things. And it's kind of like that, the wolf in sheep's clothing, where they're trying to, you know, underneath it all, they actually have malintent, they have ulterior motives, and they're trying to manipulate you maybe, but you don't realize that. But your instinct is kicking in, saying, "Whoa, there's something about this person. Even though they say all the right things, they look all nice and pretty, and all that other stuff, but there's something about this person where I need to just be careful and be wary about them." That's your instinct kicking in, keeping you safe. Okay, maybe keeping that person at bay so that you don't get whatever, like, taken advantage of, or whatever that person's motives are. Okay, so that, listen to this. If you have this, ever get those instinct, please, please, please honor that. Try to work with it. Practice, not living in fear, but you're living in empowered. You're not like having every little thing create a fear base. So I'm going to say this. Try not to get, I've noticed this with a few people, some family members, some people, like this guy that I just met recently, where he's like, oh, this thing happened, so now I'm never going to do that again. And then this thing happens, so I'm never going to do that again. This thing, and they basically, what happens is, as they get older, they make all these vows to themselves to never do this, never do that, never do this, because this one thing bad happened, one thing bad happened. And then they keep boxing themselves in over the years. And then next thing you know, they get into their later years, they get older, elderly, and they're just this shallower person, that because of all these events that have happened in their life, oh, I won't do this anymore, I won't do that anymore, I won't fall in love anymore, I won't, let somebody stay with me at my house anymore because this bad thing happened, and all this stuff. And next thing you know, there's all these like boxed in kind of ideas that they have. And then they don't really live their life fully. And don't get me wrong, you learn from experience, but you don't want to get to a point where, one time one bad thing happens and you think that's going to happen all the time. Like, if I go traveling to one place and I don't know, I stub my toe, and then I'm like, oh, I'm never doing that again. It's like, well, stuff happens, life happens, you stub your toe, okay, but you could do that anywhere. Does that mean that next time you go traveling, you're going to stub your toe again? I don't know. I'm just using a ridiculous idea, but I've seen so many people do that, and try not to. Try to push yourself to still live freely, live fully, work with your spirit guides, and take each situation, each circumstance on an as per situation, circumstantial basis, and try to work with your spirit guides to help you navigate each situation. Okay. So we don't create those boxes. Welcome to the Ask Ken show. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's been great so far. Just say hi and where you're from. Also, feel free to visit my website, channelinginc.com. You'll see all my trainings and workshops that I have available. Okay, so why do we have spirit guides? Good question. We don't need to have spirit guides, like it's not necessary for our existence, but everybody that I've encountered has spirit guides, so it just kind of is what it is. Our spirit guides play a very valuable role. They really do help us in so many great, amazing ways. They help us to expand, they help us to grow, they help us to evolve. I do highly recommend you try and practice channeling your spirit guides on a regular daily basis. Get used to it, work with them. They do help us, and the benefits are just enormous. Like if you could only like live the life that I live, where you're actually following their guidance and watching the serendipities and the synchronicities happen on a regular basis, and you're just like flourishing in all these different areas of your life, because it's not just spirituality. I know a lot of people come into my trainings and they're like, oh, so what brings you here? And they're like, oh, I want to improve my spirituality. Oh, what brings you here? Oh, I want to increase my connection with my guides. Oh, what brings you here? Oh, I want to, learn how to be more spiritual. I'm like, okay, great, 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 great. So a lot of times they come in for those reasons, but what they don't realize is that when you learn how to channel at really advanced levels, then it'll actually help you in all the different areas of your life, finances and relationships, and with health, hobbies, your soul's purpose, why you're here. It's infinite what you can use channeling for. And that's why I love it. I'm passionate about teaching people this. And also people start to realize that it's so versatile. Like you can go anywhere with it. You can do it at anywhere, anytime, any situation. You're like, oh, what should I have for dinner tonight? And then you ask your spirit guides, and like, oh, okay, that's a great idea. And you don't have to. So by the way, there's no have to. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to do that because I want to, make my own decisions. I'm like, great, make your own decisions. They're just here as helpers, as assistants, and all that. So I look at it this way: co-collaborate your life with your spirit guides. Co-collaborate. You have a soul, you have free will. Use that free will. Use it for your good. Do great things with it. Make good, healthy choices. And check in with your guides from time to time. See what they suggest. And if you want to dismiss their guidance, go for it. All the power to you. I did that for years and years and years. And then it wasn't until 2012, because what was happening was when I did dismiss their guidance, usually, not all the time, but a lot of times poor things would happen just because I'd make poor choices. And then my life would fall apart. It'd be horrible. And then I would, follow their guidance for quite a while, several months. And then I wouldn't follow their guidance. And then my life would fall apart. And this kept going back and forth until one day I finally, in 2012, I decided I'm just going to try to listen to my spirit guides guidance 100% of the time, all the time, and just see what happens, like experiment with it. And wow, when I made that decision, my whole life changed dramatically. My whole life got so much better. And I'm so glad that I made that decision. So try it. Like and will you be 100% correct all the time when you're channeling your spirit guides? No. And that's okay. That's how you learn. You learn by practicing, by playing with it, by trying, and give yourself some grace when things don't all perfectly or the way that you were hoping. And try to stick to present moment questions most of the time, because they won't oftentimes give you messages from like, will I meet the man of my dreams? Something that might be 2 years from now or 5 years from now. But instead ask like present moment questions, like, what can I do right now to meet the man of my dreams? Questions like that. Okay. So those are good tips. Try to work with your spirit guides as much as possible on a regular daily basis, and just with them, keep it fun, keep it light, keep it enjoyable, and just watch your life transform. Like watch it when you follow their guidance on a regular basis, and because you have to remember too that they operate in the astral realm, in the fourth dimension, and they're seeing things from a perspective that you may not see. And they're also watching and communicating with other people's spirit guides, and they're watching how the pieces are coming into play, and they're looking at things like timing and what's optimal for you and optimal for them and optimal for everybody involved. And then boom, all of a sudden you get this like magic sparks that fly, and you're like, whoa, how cool is that? And you're like, yeah, that's your spirit guides operating behind the scenes, making it all happen, but you're following their guidance. If you just, sit there at home and you decide, okay, I'm just going to sit here and meditate, channel my spirit guides, but not actually take anything into action, that's fine for a while. But after a while, like, a month goes by and you're like, why is nothing happening in my life? 3 months go by, why is nothing happening in my life? 6 months go by, 6 years go by, why is nothing happening? Because sometimes you have to action this stuff. You have to actually get out there and do stuff, or maybe you have to do stuff on your computer or on your phone, or maybe you have to go out and meet people. They're like telling you, okay, go to this event, and you're like, oh no, I'll just skip this event, and then you skip the next one, skip the next one, skip the next one. But maybe at that event you're supposed to meet some people that might open the doors to certain possibilities and certain opportunities. So that's why sometimes you don't always know the reason why your guides are guiding you on a certain thing, certain path, or a certain direction, but you just do it. And then oftentimes in hindsight, you look back and you're like, oh, that's why you wanted me to do this. Oh, that's why you wanted me to go to this event. Oh, that's why you wanted me to bring up this idea to my boss about this different work related situation or whatever work related idea. So there's so many possibilities that you can work with on your spirit guides, how they're always constantly trying to help you. And you don't have to listen to them, but I highly recommend that you do, and you follow their guidance and just watch the magic and serendipities and synchronicities unfold. It's so exciting. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, Permi. Thank you so much for joining. So great to see so many people of you tuned in. If you're watching, just give your name and where you're from. If you have any questions about spirituality, just type it in the chat box, and I will answer the questions live here on the air. And my next question is, if a friend is a member of my soul family, does that mean I'm a member of their soul family? So let's go into this a little bit in depth. This is a great question. Is not everybody on the planet is a member of your soul family. When you die and you cross over, you go to the astral realm to be with your soul family. While you're incarnated, certain members of your soul family will help and assist you. These are your spirit guides. And also at the same time, certain members of your soul family are also incarnated on Earth throughout the planet. So every country, every continent, every major city probably in the world, there's going to be soul family members that are incarnated. A lot of them are not incarnated. They're in spirit form in the astral realm as your soul family. So when you die and you cross over, you'll go back to that bulk of the soul family up there in the astral realm. And then while you're down here, there'll be members of your soul family everywhere, like scattered everywhere. Like I've met people of my soul family at every different continent on this planet, you name it, because there are a lot of them. So think abundance, and they are. It's not, and they might be any demographics, any age group, you name it, any race. So don't look past all that and feel more onto a soul level. How do you know if you meet somebody if they're a member of your soul family? So have you ever met somebody, you've never met them before, it's your first time meeting them, and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you forever. And if you get that, most likely they are a member of your soul family. And because if they are a member of your soul family, you literally have known them forever, for eons. And you've probably known them in many past lifetimes, and not only in many past lifetimes, but also in between lives, like in the astral realm as well. You've also known them. So you just have this crazy amazing soul connection with this person. And a soul family member could be anybody. It could be a member of your earth family, it could be an aunt or an uncle, it could be a cousin, it could be a teacher, it could be a friend from elementary or junior high, it could be a coworker, it could be anybody, it could be a stranger walking down the street, and then you bump into them, and maybe you just exchange glances, or maybe you talk to them briefly, but you feel this major connection with them. It's like, whoa, who is this person, right? By the way, 1111, how cool is that? And that's what I mean. That's the serendipities, the synchronicities, and all of a sudden you meet this person and you're like, God, I feel like I've known you forever. So most likely that's because they are a member of your family and they are here. You bump, so get to know these people, like, you know, see if they want to connect with you on like Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp or whatever, like, you know, so you can stay in touch with that person, even if they are in a different place or different country or whatever. There's also video conferencing, so you can always do video conferencing calls. In this day and age, we're very lucky and fortunate to have this technology. But these people have come into your lives for a reason, so find out what those reasons are. You know, sometimes it's just for a short period of time, but sometimes it's for a long period of time. And then if maybe you're meant to cultivate a relationship with them, you know, where you're meant to build a friendship with that person, and but it takes, you know, practice. It takes consistency and, you know, regular communication with that person to build up that connection with them and that fellowship with them. So if a friend is a member of your soul family, does that mean I'm a member of their soul family? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. So, what can happen though is you can have somebody who is like your spirit guide, for example, is definitely a member of your soul family. And I've had other people ask me, okay, is this person who's alive, are they a spirit guide? And the answer is no. And like technically no, but they could be like a mentor, and they're most likely a member of your soul family. If you feel that kind of connection with them, they're most likely a member of your soul family. But the reason why I say no is because a spirit guide is a spirit. That's why they call it spirit guide. Your friend or mentor or whoever is still incarnated, and so they're not in spirit form yet. Okay, so I'm very careful about like what I want to do with my spirit with my students is get them to be very precise about what we're talking about. So, for example, if we're talking about an angel, it's an actual angel, not a soul. But in your spirit guides case, your spirit guides are souls, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of souls out there that could be that you could be communicating with in spirit form. So there's three different realms. There's the astral realm, there's the animal spirit realm, and there's the in-between realm. So we'll talk about the astral realm and the five different souls in the astral realm. There is the five different souls that could be that you could communicate with in the astral realm are random souls. So souls you don't know, just random souls. You've never communicated with them before, never connected with them before. And then also it could be ascended master souls. That could also be ones that can communicate with. It could be loved ones, which are loved ones are not members of your soul family, but people that you've known that are incarnated that have over, so loved ones souls. And then it could also be uh, soul family members. Okay, so you can actually, while you're alive, you don't have to wait till you die and cross over. You can communicate with your soul family now. So just work with your spirit guide, project yourself to the astral realm, and go meet your soul family. Please do. Like I do that in my workshop with my students. I encourage you to do that. And then the other soul could be one of your spirit guides. Okay, so those are the five different souls: random souls, ascended master souls, loved ones, soul family members, and your spirit guides. Okay, so not all of and then you have people that are incarnated, and again, a lot of people that are incarnated are not members of your soul family, but some could be. And by the way, just so you know, that there's a lot of people that I know right now that are really close friends, and they're not a member of my soul family. So don't think that, you know, a friend has to be a member of your soul family. It doesn't. There's lots of people that you can be friends with and that I'm friends with that are not members of my soul family, and you could be as well. And but you might have like a mentor or somebody who's guiding you and helping you and supporting you, that's really close, and they might be a soul family. Why? Because you have that special connection with them where you on a soul level, but also there's that wisdom, and they also know you on a deep soul level, most likely not just from this lifetime, but from many past lifetimes as well. Okay. We have Brittany tuning in, says, "Hi, Ken. Been a long time. How can I tell if your ancestors are trying to connect and communicate with me?" Great question. That's a good question. Okay, so this brings up another question, which is a lot of times when people they are channeling like spiritual people, they're like, "Oh, I call in all my spirit guides and angels and ancestors and anyone of the light. Okay, so that's great. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. If that works for you, keep doing it. What I do is the way that I operate is much differently. I always work with my spirit guides. My spirit guides are always my number one go-to people. Um, and then if I notice like an ancestor come in, then I check with my spirit guides. Do I communicate with them? Yes or no? And if it's a no, I don't. If it's a yes, then I do. The same thing with angels or other kinds of beings. I ask my spirit guides, do I communicate with them? If it's yes, then I do. If it's a no, then I don't. So just to clarify, is sometimes people will have a member like of their soul family that is a spirit guide, but sometimes they're just not a spirit guide. They're just a member of your soul family. Same thing with a loved one. A loved one could be a spirit guide. Oftentimes they're not, but they could be. So a loved one is somebody that you knew that was incarnated, that died and crossed over. So don't automatically assume they're a spirit guide. They could be, but they're most likely not. But it's possible that they could be. Same thing with an ancestor. An ancestor, if you look up like a lineage branch, like where it goes up, your mother's side and then the branch extends, or your father's side and then the branch extends. An ancestor could be one of those people, one of those souls that come to you, and they might try to help and assist you, but again, don't assume that they're a spirit guide. Oftentimes they're not, but they could be. Okay, so that's one thing to be cautious about and be aware about. Like for me, if it's any one of these souls, I usually don't get guidance from them unless it's a spirit guide. Okay, I only get guidance from spirit guides, maybe soul family members, but spirit guides for sure. And then from there, I kind of discern the difference between them. But so one way you can try to, a beautiful thing about like, so a lot of times if you look at your DNA, so we get half of our RNA from our mother, half of it from our father, and then they come together to create DNA. So that's the double helix that you see. And then those genes affect us, a lot of it in a good way and some in maybe not so good way. But what can happen is sometimes we have these generational patterns and cycles that come down through our ancestors. And a lot of times they're good. Like a lot of people in different races, they're like, oh, look at me, I'm the best race ever. No, you're not. Just in this lifetime, you happen to be this race, but next lifetime you might be a different race. So don't get too caught up in that. But you do have a lot of good qualities that have been passed down through your genetics, through your ancestors, through your genes that are affecting you in a good way, in a positive way in this lifetime. So know that it's not all bad, although might be some unhealthy stuff that has been passed down as well. So you can heal and clear that and then continue embracing the good that you've had from your ancestors been passed down. Um, so your ancestors, like I have a lot of reverence for them, a lot of respect for them. I appreciate my ancestors, and like I can only imagine the struggles that they've gone throughout their life, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, and so on, where like society was a lot different back then. They didn't have the technology that we have now, and the a lot of the comforts that we might have in this 21st century kind of environment that we live in. So I do appreciate them and how far they've come, and I do like to communicate with them. And it's just, the process of communicating with any soul is pretty much the same, where you want to like quiet yourself, invite whichever. I always start with spirit guides first because my spirit guides will help me know which guide or ancestor to communicate with, and then invite that one to come in if your spirit guides gives you approval, and then communicate with them and see what they have to say. See um, see what messages they have for you and all that. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to communicate with your ancestors as well. I honor them and respect them and revere them. I think they're really awesome, and I try to communicate with my ancestors on quite a regular basis. So if you're tuning in, thank you for tuning in. I see Victoria's tuned in, and also Kevin Hughes, who I have to give tons of respect to. He's awesome. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And thank you, Kevin, for tuning in. I miss you too, brother. And everybody, this is the Ask Ken Show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Feel free to check out my website, channelinginc.com. If you have any questions at all, you can still type them in now, and I will add them to my list. And then tune in at another Ask Ken Show to get your questions answered live on the air. Have a wonderful day, everyone. See you soon. Woo, woo. Spirituality is meant to be what? Fun. So have fun with it. Keep it light, keep it playful, keep it fun. Talk to you all soon.